Hi there, and welcome to the section on final tweaks. What I want to do here is go through the track gradually and make some small changes so that things are just that little bit less static, and also in preparation for a bit of a mix down in the next video coming up. I'm going to start with the drums. Let's begin by cloning the kick track and creating another 4 on the floor pattern. And let's also link this to an insert in the mixer. I'll organise the mixer tracks before we get into the mixing session, so for now I can just send the duplicate kick up away from the drums up here somewhere. And what I want to do with this kick drum is high cut it so that we lose the rumble of the kick during transition phases. You can hardly get any more monotonous than a 4 on the floor kick drum, so these micro changes help slightly. And so let's high cut it and bring it into the song at anywhere that feels kind of relevant. I'll just low cut, or I'll bring in parametric EQ up. And just bring it up to the point where we have just a little bit of kind of boxiness to it. So this is going to be placed in the transition parts. And we don't have to do it in every sort of transition part, only a few here and there. I think we should also address some transition sections in terms of the drums, doing things like removing the last measure or beat out of patterns, otherwise things will just get even more repetitive. So let's go and start with the clap here. And for sort of more dramatic transition sections, we can bring out the pattern entirely. In fact, I'll just go along and do the hats and the drum loop at the same time so I don't have to go back and forward so much. The hats can probably stay in a bit more than the other elements. Now, the delay signal coming from the clap is also something that needs looked at. Right now it has this kind of really harsh upper mid presence to it, which is noticeable throughout the entire track, and it just doesn't sound good at all, so let's see what we can do to fix it. I think there's also some phase issues going on because, yeah, it's not, there's still some dry signal coming through as well, and as you can see down here there's a different sort of measure of milliseconds in between the initial dry and the send. So I'll maybe put a low pass filter on it to kind of tame it a bit. And also turn the repeats down a bit because it just goes on for far too long. So that'll be enough work on the drums for the time being, so let's move on to the key layer. Right now I think the sound is quite dry, so I want to add reverb to sort that out. And I'm going to use Ascend this time around, as the original sound is quite transient and plucky, so I want to try and maintain that character so that it still cuts through well in the mix. So like before, I'll just route it to a new track there, drag it over and rename. So bring the dry all the way up, down, and wet all the way up. So that kind of makes a big difference, as you can hear. Now if we move on to the outro, let's first of all remove Synth 2 from the last 16 bars, as it's been active for almost the entire track. And we can also gradually raise the high pass filter and the key layer back up over the course of the final 16 bars, and this is eventually what will lead us out to the very end of the song. So I'll go and get the current value and copy and paste it over. And again, just a gradual rise up. Okay, so that's about all the final adjustments I want to make for the time being. Next up, we'll look at giving the track a brief mix down, so I'll see you in the next video for that.